Good afternoon all. Thank you all for joining us. It's fantastic to see that we have a number of people from around the world. To introduce myself very briefly, my name is Renuka Soni. I am one of the committee members on the London branch. More importantly, we're here to hear from Gemma Roura, who's the Strategic Planning Director for Formula E Operations Limited. I will introduce her in more detail in a minute. However, a couple of housekeeping things. Firstly, please be aware that this webinar is being recorded and you are in listen mode only. Also, the slides will be available on the APM page, and we will be sharing them via social media as well in the next week or so, just for those of you that will ask. We do like to make this session as interactive as possible, despite the fact that you're on listen only, so you should all have the option to ask questions. We would request that you type in your questions as we progress, and I'll be fielding these to Gemma once her presentation is finished, and hopefully she'll get a chance to answer all of those. Other than that, I'd like to, as I said, introduce you to Gemma again, who very kindly is joining us from Formula E. And I thought it would be an opportunity to hear about programme management from a different perspective. So without further ado, I'm going to hand you over to Gemma.
Thank you, Renuka, for an APM for having me here today. So it's an honor for me to be speaking in front of such a great professionals of project management. I feel really humble. So I prepare a video, and I would love that for this video to play. And yeah.
Progress is life. It starts with vision. A relentless drive to improve, to be faster, to be cleaner. Now, more than ever, this is how we build a better future. This is Formula E. Pioneering teams racing at the heart of iconic cities in a fusion of real and virtual. A new race designed for the electric generation. New fans who demand more. Diverse, digital, connected to the action, the competition, each other. Power, performance, pursuit with purpose. Defending the planet by attacking the track. A vision for sustainable human progress. Teams, partners, pace setters and pioneers united and positively charged to accelerate electric racing and light up the world with its transformative power. Formula E. Change accelerated.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Thank you for, hopefully you like the video. So my name is Gemma Roura Serra. I'm a strategic planning director from Formula E. I have been delivering large motorsport events all my professional life, and I have been using and applying project management principles without even knowing it. A few years ago, I realized that everything is project managed, and even people that find project management boring or think project management is about spreadsheets and timeline only, don't realize that in their daily activities, most probably, they are using project management fundamentals. For me, that was really mind-blowing. I started in Formula E in November 2013. Back in the day, we were just having a vision and an empty computer. Everything had to be done from scratch. I was in charge of delivering the first ever Formula E event, the 13th of September 2014. That was my birthday, and I will never forget that gift. Until September 2020, I was head of events, having the overall responsibility for organizing events located in major city centers such as New York City, Hong Kong, Paris, Miami, Moscow, London, to name a few. And in September 2021, I was promoted to strategic planning director, focusing on the events, operations planning, and the roadmap. So what is Formula E? So Formula E is the world's first all-electric single-seater car racing series. This was conceived to accelerate sustainable human progress through the power of electric racing. So racing in the heart of iconic host cities. We have been achieving significant growth since our debut in Olympic Park in Beijing in 2014. So the current season is season 7, so it's the 2021 season. So we gained World Championship status, becoming the ABB FIA Formula E World Championship. So we are the only sport certified net zero carbon since inception. And for next season, so that we already announced last week, a calendar with 12 locations, 16 races, 12 teams, and 24 drivers have been communicated. So the races take place on approximately 3-kilometer circuits. The length of the race is 80 to 100 kilometers. It's around 45 minutes. The cars goes from 0 to 100 kilometers in 2.8 seconds with a maximum speed of 280 kilometers per hour. And yeah. So Formula E and project management. As you can imagine, to organize a motorsport event in a city center is very complex and challenging. So we have a lot of different stakeholders are involved. Not everybody is familiar necessarily with motorsport events, and sometimes they are not even familiar with events itself. So we need to go through very complicated permitting and licenses progress. We have a lot of deadlines that need to fill, milestones, and event management plan submissions. The logistics are really large, and the planning is very intense. So we have a product to deliver, so that's the racing, it's a live TV product, the entertainment and event experience and hospitality for the guests that come on site. And as well as we say, is a city inside a city. So our roadmap for an event, and this I would like to focus after the calendar is announced, but it's important also to mention what happens before. So the project, the pre-project phase says what do we want to do in there. So the business, the company will establish the strategy and the objective. Then we will have the feasibility phase on can we do it? And this is basically verifying the track and overlay options, considering dates, the seat availability, and the business model for that event. But then we are announcing and we will be confirming on the calendar that the event is happening. So this is for all the events, and all the events will have that four fundamental phases. So one is the foundation phase. It will be related to the specific for each event. And we will be talking there about the delivery model. So the event specification, the budget, the timeline, the milestones, the roles and responsibilities. I will touch base on those a little bit later. And then we will be in this foundation phase, we're talking about the building blocks as well. So how the event will be designed, how the things will flow, where will be located the different areas. And as well, what we say, the main management plan, that's the operational plan, how everything and which are the different elements that we need in order to have this operations plan. So we have then a long period of evolve and develop solution phase that it's planning how we do it. In here will be then, it's very important to plan all the details of the event. It's a very collaborative, so all the teams will work together to make it happen. And it's an important phase where we'll be gathering a lot of information. That information is information that we'll be using for submitting the permits to the local authorities. And only when we get the permit approval from the local authorities is when we will be able to then enter to the next phase, that is the execution phase. So is the doing it. In that phase is when we have the delivery, so the building of the event. We will be able to start with the promotion of the event. We will be able then to run the event. So this is normally happening around 20 days before the event and the race start. I would like to mention that the distinction between event and race is because we have locations where we do what we call double headers and we do double races. So then the last phase after the event and the race are complete, it's the post-project phase as how did it go? I mean, making sure that we review what we have done. So all the lessons are learned. We feed back to the foundation, so for us after, to make sure that we are not missing anything for the next season to happen. So we create all the reports, and then yeah, it's when we see all the benefits. What do we need to make it happen? So relevant documents that help with the fundamental components of the event. So we have first the event specification, and this is explain what is needed and what needs to be done to organize an event and how should be delivered. So all departments of the company are participate with the information, and they fill this event specification document. So an event specification document is designed to first help global team to know what other departments required for the event, what the others need. And second is for the local teams, the one that help us to promote and deliver. So to understand what is required and entailed to host an event. Then this passes on to the next document, so it's the action plan responsibilities and who is responsible to do what. In that action plan responsibilities, so the table of content is exactly the same table of content of the event specification. So then we are making sure that the documents are integrated, are interlinked, and they are easy to follow. So obviously there is no event without a budget, so we need to create a budget, and the budget are the ones helping to track financial performance and cash flow of the event. Especially nowadays with what's going on, this is very important. So the budget, the same as the action plan responsibilities and the event specification, they are the same table of contents that help us after with making sure that we put back all the purchase order, that we put back against the invoices, against the expense. Then we have the event specification tracker, and I will go into more detail in a slide after. And this is the document that we use as a project management tool. And in that event specification tracker is where we list all the tasks and actions that come from the event specification. So the event specification is the big book, then we have some actions that need to be taken. And from that, the last document is the event management plan. So, and the event management plan is to give a more in-depth information about the operation of the event. And it's the one that we show to local authorities and stakeholders to make sure that the event, and to show that the event is delivered safe and in a professional manner. So we have the event management team. So each event has an event director, and the event director has the whole understanding of the event at each location. So the event director are there to provide support across the business for the event and tuning company's objective. They are there to develop and protect relationship with stakeholders, political and city management, and they ensure that the team is coming together in collaboration to deliver the event. Each event has different leads and teams working in different places and time zones. We have an international calendar that we touch all across all the continents. That's why we have what we call the global team. So the headquarters are in the UK, in London, and in Donington. And we have local team, and there is a local team at each location. How we communicate and manage. So luckily nowadays, I mean, we have technological tools that help us to work in collaboration with the team. We always have been working in a way remotely because, as we mentioned before, if we have a global team that sits in London and Donington, and we need to work and collaborate with teams that are in America, in South America, in Asia, in Middle East, etc., we always need these technological tools that allowed us to communicate together. But lately, and because of the pandemic, we have been forced to do it even more. So we have two blogs, one informative blog and one operational blog. So the informative blog, we have what we call a group chat, and this is not necessarily with WhatsApp. So we are using another platform, and on a regular basis, and it's to keep the communication with the event leads and sharing main general updates, making sure that everybody keeps up to date on what's going on. Then also on the informative section, when it's needed, we create maybe once a month or every 3 weeks what we say an event progress meeting, where we are putting all what we have been achieving together in a presentation, and we are explaining to the rest of the event leads what has been done, what we have achieved, and where we are in terms of the event planning and organization. And then we have the blog operational. On a regular basis, we have what we call event portals, the event specification tracker. So this is a project management tool to track the progress and to discuss on specific topics and sharing documents so that we have that common place where everything sits. And then we have dedicated meetings as well. Those happen on Zoom in the same way that we are interacting now with a specific leads on a specific subject. They can happen on demand or with a scheduled recurrent meetings. Event portals, everything is in one place. So we have created a couple of years ago, thanks to the new technologies. So we have created those portals. So it's still, I mean, we are still working and developing and keep, improving them as we are working. So we are using more an interactive approach by making sure that we test, we evolve, and then we improve. But we put here, this is an example, for example, of all the events that we have been delivering this year. So when we have people from the company, new people that have been there for a long time, they know that they can go to this platform that we have created, and they can just go and click to the event that they are interested and that they need information from. Each event has a dedicated event portal, as I mentioned. This is a section of the 2021 Heineken London Prix that is happening, as you can see now, the 24th and 25th of July in Excel. I mean, when I took the picture, that was 12 days remaining. Now, obviously, it's less than 12 days remaining. But in here, people can find what we call the overall race matrix. The purpose of this document is to give a quick overview on relevant information of the event for the team to be aware on being able to share with other departments and stakeholders. So this is also a document that helps us with to keep information from previous seasons. So it's a transmission of knowledge, because sometimes, as you know, people move or we change leads because the calendar is different. So we want to make sure that everything is in that location so people can just go and collect the information from previous years. So it's not that we need to start from scratch every year that we do the event. Then we have a second document that it's the access document that is event specification tracker, and I will go more in detail in my next slides. Then we have as well, so all the meetings and agenda notes for all these dedicated meetings that happen, all the different presentations, so everything is in there, so people can just go and access, make sure that they can collect that. Then when we start with the delivery phase, we have the day by day, so then people can see what is happening each day, who is in charge, etc. Then we have, during the running of the event, the procedures. So when we have different, for example, we have people entering to go to what we call pit visits, or when we go, the cars go on track, etc. So there are different procedures. They explain exactly the minute by minute what's happening on each location. And this is in the procedures. And last but not least, we have the debrief form that it's important for the post phase that we're saying, for making sure that everybody's feeding back what did work, what it didn't work, etc. So then we have project timelines showing the main key dates that people need to be aware of. So the event specification tracker, so what is this for? So all trackers contain, so the tracker contains all the actions and tasks from the event specification document, and helps tracking the event progress. So for example, if we have one of the sections that is about event emergency plans, for example, the actions and tasks that we will talking here, it will be provide emergency services location plan, or provide hospital routes map, or provide emergency vehicle access routes, or evacuation routes and procedures on site, for example. These will be all there. I will explain that further. Then the specification tracker as well standardize the way events are managed and information is requested, because we have, and it's consistent for all the events. So it's important that we gather information required for the permits, for the minimum formally health and safety standards, and the legal registers that we need for the ISO certification. So independently for the location, if we need permits or not, because as you can imagine, being racing all over the place, we have cities that demand more permits than others. Independent of that, we, as formally a company that we are based in the UK, we want to make sure that we have what we call the minimum health and safety standards, so that we want to make sure that everybody presents and give that information. And this is, in a way, makes help us with the standardization in the way events are managed and the information is requested. So the event specification tracker streamline communication amongst the team as well, and allow each department to better manage their own area with their own teams. It creates the event management plan I was mentioned before, and this is all the operational plans for the permits submission. So using the tracker, so the tracker has different sections. So as I was mentioned, all the events have a tracker. As you can see here, this is a section for the London EPRI. So we have a total of 26 sections where you can see where we're talking about the event definition, the event organization, the event management, the sporting management, the event running, the track design and construction, venue design and the spaces, integrated build and dismantling program, the venue access and traffic management, and so on. So in total, we have 26 sections. So some of the content that is in the sections is a standard the whole year, but other sections are specific to each event and need to be adapted. So using the tracker, as I mentioned, the tracker, the sections, inside each section, we have the different tasks. So there is, this is what it looks when you enter inside. So we have the event specification reference. So for people to understand, okay, so in the section 1.5.6 from the event specification, from the book that we have created, we are talking about, for example, toilets, and sorry for the topic, but and in here we are explaining how the toilets will need to be, which are the standard that they need to be delivered, etc. And then in here the task is making sure that we provide with a matrix and we define the different planning. So in here there is the task side, so sometimes we have subtasks. So we are requesting in which format the information needs to be delivered. So which are the departments involved to provide that task, who is responsible to adapt that to a specific location, and then we put here a name on the person that are responsible to supply the information. Then people sometimes they are able to provide a link where this information is from, or they provide the document that they can attach into that tracker as well. Then we will have the deadline submission that the event management will be inputting here to make sure that they understand when we need this information from, when that task needs to be complied. And then the person in charge of providing that information will tell us the progress, if it's complete, if it's not started, if he cannot start it, why. We can interact within the team through this tracker, or if the activity has not been able to finalize for some reason. So then the local team will be able to check that the information that has been provided is correct. And when this is mark, then there is a final check by formally where we are saying that this document or this information is done, and it matches with the event specification, and it matches with information that we need for the permit submission as well. So this is what it looks, the event progress status. So after we have the different sections for each event, so people are starting filling the different documents, they are starting to providing the different tasks that we are requiring. You can see this is an example of one of the events, the 26 sections that we're having, where we can see when some of the documentation has been complete, some of the progress has not been, able to complete, and some has not been started. Then it gives us a sense to the event management team to make sure that, okay, why is this working, why is this not working, making sure that we then created dedicated meetings on different teams to be able to ensure that this can be unblocked. That also helps the different department leads to follow on what the team is doing and making sure that, nothing is missed. The most important, the result of all of that, and I would like to give you some formulae in numbers. So 67% is in season 5, we recycle an average of 52 of waste at our events and 67% at our headquarters in London. 100%, we recycle 100% of our Michelin racing tires after use. So we use just one type of hybrid tire. This is for any weather and any pavement per season, and only 2 sets of tires per race per car, which is 30 to 50% less tires transported. 62 in season 2, 62% of our funds came to the race via public share or sustainable transportation. 300,000 since his introduction in season 5. We have saved the equivalent of almost 300,000, 330 milliliter single-use plastic bottles from landfill by introducing Allianz hydration stations and reusable water pouches in our e-village, our fan zone. So the ISO 2012-1, so we are the first motorcycle championship to have achieved the third-party ISO 2012-1 certification, which recognizes the sustainable delivery of our events. 1,200, it's the cumulative since season 5. We have worked with over 25 different schools, universities, over 100 different charities, local community groups, institutions, and had over 1,200 participants attend community tours across 9 cities. 20,000 tons CO2 equivalent. So in season 6, our total carbon footprint was only 20,000 tons CO2, which is 50% less than season 5 due to COVID-19 impacts. 3,332 in April 2020, formally launched the Race at Home Challenge in support of UNICEF, which resulted in over 1,000 pounds donated to UNICEF Global's coronavirus appeal, which could help provide 3,332 PPE kits for healthcare workers globally. And Net Zero, we are really proud to say that in September 2020, the ABV Formula World Championship became the first and only sport to be certified net zero carbon since inception. This has been achieved by reducing our footprint through our own efforts, investing in internationally recognized projects within our own race markets, and then offsetting the remaining unavoidable emission. Thank you very much. I don't know if you have any questions.
Thank you so much for that, Gemma. That was, I hope I speak for most of our audience when I say that was fascinating, and definitely learnt a fair bit there myself. So thank you once again. We are, as I said, going to open it out to the audience for questions. I've had a few come in, but just as a reminder, you do have the questions tab on the webinar, so please do feel free to put your questions on there, and I'll be asking them as we go along. And we do also have the Slido poll that's gone up, so thank you for Rob doing that in the background. I'll kick off with one question that we've had from our audience already. Hopefully you've had a chance to grab a sip of water now, Gemma, after that presentation. Thank you. So our first question: what happens when you meet with local authorities that are unfamiliar with the event and don't know you?
Well, that's a very interesting question. Thank you, Ranuka. So one of the things that that we face always is, if you go to a place that they don't know formally or they don't know you, so we need to build trust with local authorities. So what happens is we need to make sure that we come up with documentation enough. So we need to make sure that we explain everything from scratch. We need to go to the basics sometimes of motorsports or events. We need to make sure that they understand what we are trying to achieve. We need to explain them what is the end goal. So and we need to make sure that they understand that even if we don't have all the information now, we will be there working together to make sure that we will present all the information in a suitable manner. So one of the things that we have created is normally we have the event specification document that we share with them so that they know. But with the event specification, we have created the event management plan. So that's an empty document where we are telling them exactly what information we will provide. So this information has been crossing permit processes from all the cities that we have been racing in all these 7 years that we are existing. So we want to make sure that they feel comfortable with the information that we initially don't have, because we still need to develop in that planning phase. But we want to make sure that they understand that we know what they require, we know what they will need in order for them to give us the permit approval. So this is a process that we are having with them. We are meeting with them. We're having before, obviously, in-person meetings. Now is with Zoom calls, where we are explaining them all the documents and all the information that we will providing, and which are the times that they need to help us to understand, because they better than us, they know when we need to submit this information. Hope this clarifies.
Excellent, thank you, Gemma. So we've had a lot of great questions come in, and a lot of actually lovely comments to say thank you for the knowledge shared, and I hope that you're also seeing the key takeaways pop up. So Chris has alluded to one of your slides where you talked about the percentages of all the good things you're doing, but with reference to certified net zero carbon sport, is this only for the competitors themselves, or does this include support staff as well?
It's absolutely everything. It's the whole event.
Perfect.
Not only for the racing, and it's for the whole event. So since the moment that we go to a place, we build and we run, we dismantle and we go. So the full event. And this is we have done since inception. So when we started in 2014.
Wow, really, really good work, Chris.
Yes. We are really proud of that achievement.
And you certainly should be. So Chris, I hope that helps. Ian has asked, for the feasibility element, how long before a race does it take? What is the lead time?
That's that's an interesting question. So thank you for asking that, because obviously we are still a young championship. We are not a baby anymore. So we have been evolving that. At the beginning, it was very challenging, very crazy, and we were not having much time. But obviously now we are making everything more professional. People start knowing us a bit more. So normally it's about at least a year ago. Sometimes it takes longer, but we will say that a year and a half before, it's when it's the minimum time that we will require to do if we want to include an event for the following season. So we have, for example, events that it took definitely longer than that, but normally it's a year and a half.
Excellent. Thank you very much. So you kind of touched on it in your last answer. You said how you're new to the sporting world, and Chris has asked, what's the aim, to leave a legacy after each event, or leave everything as it was before you arrived? What's the plan there when you hold your events?
No, we always hope to leave a legacy. So we really think we have a purpose. We want to make a difference. We want, as I was mentioning before, we want to make sure that we conceive. I mean, we want to use electric racing to help with progress on make a different world, unsustainable world. I mean, one of the things that has been really interesting to see. Obviously, you can imagine. I mean, one day you wake up, you are at home, and you want to take your car to work, and you find that there is a racetrack there, and it's like, oh my God, why is this racetrack here in front of my doorstep? It really is disrupting me. So I don't want to have this. I don't like that. But we have been doing quite a lot in explaining the reason why we want to bring this to the city centers. And one of the main reasons is because we want to bring awareness of that we need to do something to change. Explaining those fundamentals to the people. So to do this community engagement, making sure that we meet with everyone that the event touch directly first, that's key. To explain that why we're doing what we're trying to achieve. I remember when we explained that, I remember, for example, in Paris, when the first year, obviously always is a kind of a shock. But then when you explain why you do that, what you're trying to achieve, and the good things that you are doing it, then people are really supporting on that. So it is a lot of work that gets done behind the scenes to make sure that everybody understands the main reason. And the main reason is because we want to make a difference. We want to bring awareness that things needs to happen quickly if you want to have a better world.
Excellent. And yeah, clearly the good work and the hard work by yourself and your team are certainly paying off. I don't know how I'd feel if I turned up to work one day and there's a racetrack outside my door. I struggle to get car parking space on a good day, but I'm sure people embrace your visit and get behind it. Ian has already responded to say thank you for the answer that you previously gave. So Ram has said, what lessons are Formula E learning from Formula One, or vice versa?
Well, that's an interesting question, but we are two different products, and we are more in, so they are more in permanent circuits, and we are more in city centers, so it's different. So we are trying not to compare each other.
Excellent, thank you. Shiri Gopal has asked, what is the cost for each team per race and the total race costs, if you know those figures?
No, I'm not familiar with these figures because this is a section that I'm not touching, so I'm not familiar with this information.
Not a problem at all. And transport from one location to another, how is that completed?
Yes, so we are having a logistics department inside Formula E. So we work with a partner, so that is with DHL. They are our partner, and they are the ones helping to. I mean, we do a big assessment when we build the calendar. So we are trying always to build it in the most sustainable way as well. So one of the most difficult things, to be honest, is to build a calendar, because there are a lot of components that we need to make sure that we are taking in consideration. So it's about city availability, of course, but it's also about how we transport things around the world. So we have been trying to keep this fluidity so that we don't need to go from one place to another randomly, because if we can go by train, we will not be flying. If we can go by boat, we will not be flying. So we are trying always to reduce as much as possible the air freight. So now currently we are working very tirelessly to try to reduce those transportation. So trying to reduce to a more sustainable ways of moving the championship. So we have the what we call the main freight with the teams that we go from one location to another, and some of the key elements of the championship. But then we have also different sets that we travel around the world in by sea, or we then have a lot of the assets that they are hired or they are used locally.
Excellent. Thank you, Gemma. Liam has asked a question. You talk about your team. What is the size of a usual project event team for an event, and how do you manage these globally? And I wonder if this has changed with the impact of COVID.
Yes, thank you very much for the question. So we are around 200 people in London, so in Donington headquarters. And then we have, as I mentioned before, we have local teams around the globe. So what we do, normally we have what we call the event leads from a global perspective, and then we have promoters and operators, so that they are helping us with the promotion and the delivery of the event. So this more or less can change a little bit on the depending on the size of the event and the complexity of the location. But we have we have a small, everything is, small, it's never small, but we have a core team of people sitting in London that they are the ones that focus on the event specific. That can be around 20 to 50, and then this can be expanded to more people, that at the end we end up being a team of over 100 people to deliver these events, from global, local, and what we call as well support staff and suppliers.
Excellent, thank you. I'd certainly say 100 plus is certainly not a small team, and
no, it's not.
all working together.
It's challenging, but we have been created a lot of great communication tools and a lot of great collaborative works of doing things. Obviously, there is always room for improvement, and we are literally working on how we can improve that, because being a young company, we haven't really had the time to stop and think on things. Even if we have done a lot already, we think that we put ourselves a lot in, question how we can improve, how we can do things differently. Are we set for the future? Are we set to make sure that this is a success story? Are we bringing the team to do to be sustainable, to be also being able to have a life? Because when you are delivering events, and you are delivering events for, so frequent, there is a sensitivity of trying to, you need to help your team for not getting burnout. This is one of the main problems that we may face. We know that events is something that it's very hectic, very fast, and it goes really quick. And people that are involved in this delivering events, they understand that, but it can be very intense. It can be very, very hard. And this is when the roles start, it don't stop, because we know that we will have an event to deliver the following year, and we know which day it will be, and we know that we'll have to deliver a race that it will be broadcasted live, and we'll have guests that will come. So there is always, this time pressure, and this happens at the same time. That it's not that you deliver one event, you deliver 12 in a season, and this is very, very hectic and very intense, especially from when we start in December to July. Obviously, this year, because of the pandemic, we will be finishing a little bit later than what we have done previously, finishing around mid-August. But otherwise, it's very intense, and we need to make sure that we have the right people globally, and we need the huge support and help from local teams that are the ones helping, and the ones that will be delivering and building the event for us to run.
Excellent. Thank you, Gemma. There's been some lovely comments coming through. Ian said, thank you very much for the presentation and the knowledge shared, and people have responded saying thank you for the answers.
Thank you so much for all your comments. I'm really humbled to be here. It's something that I normally don't do, because one of the things that happens with type of job is we are more behind the scenes. We are not the heroes of our job, so they are the drivers, the teams, and other people. So thank you very much. It means a lot to me.
Oh, not a problem. We've still got a couple more minutes left, and you'll be pleased to know, and you might have seen it on the key takeaways, that a number of people are putting their hands up to join you. If you ever get a job available, people are definitely keen to get involved in the Formula E. So you've definitely inspired some project professionals.
That's awesome. That's always good to know, because we always need good project managers to help.
Oh, perfect. Well, Williams especially asked, how do you find out about motorsport PM jobs? Is it as simply as just going on the Formula E website, or are there other avenues to look in?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So we should. I don't know if it's any available now, but yeah. So normally we post all the different jobs on our website.
Excellent. Well, William, keep an eye out on there, and everyone else who's put their hands up to get a job. Alison, Matt, Ian, a number of people have been very impressed with your events portal, and was wondering if that's designed specifically for you, or if it's a standard bit of software, if you're able to share about that.
Yeah, definitely. No, this is something, and yeah, thank you very much. That's one of the things that I need to improve with the look and feel. But we are using, and yeah, maybe they should be paying me for a little bit advert here, joking. But we're using a platform called Smartsheet, and Smartsheet, it's very useful, because you can create your own event portals, or you can create your own portals, not only for events, for any project, for anything. They give you a lot of solutions, and it's really very intuitive. So it's like I would describe as a clever Excel as well. So, and then they give you the opportunity to create that kind of cover, and then from that cover you can go into it, and yeah, go to the Smartsheet itself. So it's really good. It's really good, and we are pleased. We started with that a couple of years ago. We are still learning how to use it, how we improve. I mean, it's the first year edition that we are able to run all of this through all the events, because we did a couple of years ago. We tested, we make sure that we could make it work. Now we have done through all the events. And there are some tweaks and some things that we need to make sure to make it better and a better experience for the people that need to use it and the people that need to look at it. But it's really useful. It's really good. So you just need a good design team that can provide cool images that you can just plug in your cover, and then you can use for navigate. That's the key thing.
Excellent. Thank you, Gemma. And Ian and Matt, I hope that helps, and a number of other people that asked about the platform. Joe and Sam have asked, what happens if a supplier lets you down at the last minute, or you encounter any challenges?
I'm not sure in which way letting down. Yeah, I mean, there are different ways in letting you down. When we are on site delivering, we have the procurement team. We have, I mean, we have the contractors managers. So we try not to have these situations, if I'm honest. Sometimes things happen, but we try to overcome in the best way we can, because our events, I'm sorry if I didn't mention that before, it happens in just one day. So we are building in about 20 days for just one day event, maximum 2. So it's very hectic, and then it takes about more or less a week to dismantle. So the full process is about 20-25 days maximum. So it happens very quickly. It happens all very hectic. Sometimes we encounter difficulties. We try to overcome and to solve on site. And then when the event is over is when we then speak with more in depth with the supplier, and we try to understand a bit more what happened and why this happened.
Excellent, thank you. Eleni has just passed comment really. She said, thank you, very clear, in-depth and informative, really interesting. I'm learning a lot. And Alison's also said, thank you very much, very good presentation. I think Matt has hooked on to your comment about being in the background, and Matt has proudly said PMs are the heroes, so we should shout about our work. I'm sure Matt sat there in a little cape cheering on us PMs, which is great.
That's perfect.
But I'll definitely send you through a copy of these questions so you can see them, Gemma, and the nice comments as well.
Oh, thank you so much.
You talked about the different locations, and Jacob has asked, how do you go about stakeholder identification for new race locations?
Yes, it's funny because when you look at the street or when you look at a location and you think that it's very straightforward, it's never straightforward. It's never. And those that have been involved in construction, when they do civil works, they will understand me and they will feel the pain. But it's a lot of researching. It's a lot of, I mean, one of the things is key is we need to have good relationship with the city local officials. We need to understand, I mean, who is the department that park belongs, who is the people that we need to contact, who is sometimes we have the street belongs to one department, then the curve belongs to another department, then you have the lighting that belongs to another department, then you have the private owned areas because it's a building, or it's sometimes it can be an official building, so it belongs to a government. So we need to, so we have a lot of research. It's being on site, making sure that we walk, we encounter the different people from the areas what we raise. So we need to sit down and understand, so present the project, present where the track is located, present where we want to build the different infrastructures, where we'll have the different accesses, the entries, the pickup points, the shuttles, etc. Because sometimes we have end up being with, I mean, so many different stakeholders, from governments, from private, from neighbors, everyone. So private businesses, non-profit organizations, from the air, from the sea, from the from transportation. So it's very complex, but it's a lot on sitting, understanding, researching, talking, going to the different city halls, districts, and different departments of the different local authorities, organizations that they are helping us navigate through the challenge of building something inside the city.
Excellent. Thank you, Gemma. Erin, just whiz through. Sorry, Callum has said, could you just repeat the software that you mentioned for the portal development? Was it Smash?
Yeah. Smart shape.
Excellent. So it really just leaves me to welcome back Ranuka, but while we bring Ranuka back, I'll just read out some of these lovely comments. So Ping has said, thank you very much for the presentation. Lucas said, fascinating talk, Gemma. Thank you very much. So it really leaves me, on behalf of the APM, Gemma and Ranuka, to say thank you for your time today. And I'd also like to say thank you to everyone who's joined us. But on that note, I'll pass over to Ranuka.
Thank you for having me. Thank you, Rob.
Gemma, honestly, the thanks is all ours. When I, just very briefly, when I first contacted Gemma and explained what we were doing, I think what was fascinating for me was she got it instantly. And it was something that she and I have both spoken about so often, that pretty much everything we do is project management. And this last year being involved with APM, I've seen so much in terms of what I'm going to call traditional project management roles with a title of project manager, program director, etc. So to bring in Gemma, who is fundamentally doing the role of a program director, doesn't have that title, has so many people in her team that are doing the role of project managers but don't specifically have the title. Hopefully it's helped break down a little bit of those silos. And you know, from my point of view, as I know it's the wrong analogy to say I'm a petrol head, but I am. So again, to listen to Gemma and hear that passion about how the events are done, organised, the different facets of it, I think we could have organised a whole season of talks from Gemma and Formula E if that had been possible. So thank you so much for joining us today. It's been fascinating to hear from an audience perspective all the great stuff that you do, how you apply different project management and program management tips to it, and it's fantastic to see that our members have liked it. Thank you so much, Gemma.
You're welcome. I mean, I totally agree with what you said. For me, I didn't realize that I was doing project management, to be honest, but it's something that I have been doing all my life. So we call it differently, as you said. So this is something that it was really mind-blowing, and it's something that I love. And it's and the more companies embrace project management, the more benefits they will have, because it really helps to streamline absolutely everything. So thank you very much, Ranuka and Rob, again, for having me here. Thank you very much for everyone that attended, and APM for having me today. It has been a pleasure.
Thank you all. Thank you, Rob. I'll let you take over.